All right. Wealth, abundance, money, prosperity, and success. Whatever you may call it, whatever it may mean to you, we all crave these things, whether it's so you can live the lifestyle you prefer, do things that you've always wanted to do, or even if it's simply for peace of mind. Wealth is important. But I truly think the key to wealth comes from our feelings associated with it. When thinking about money and prosperity, do you feel calm and happy, or do you feel anxious and overwhelmed? When we think about what we want in life, it's important to feel good about it now, to feel as though we already have it. That's a powerful quote.
I love it. I love it. Listen, but why did it resonate with you?
Well, I mean, you could find people to argue both sides. Like money doesn't buy happiness, which it doesn't. I mean, I learned one thing in my life that health is more important than anything else. I mean, if you're, I mean, look at Steve Jobs. He died a billionaire, but um, money eases your mind a little bit because if things happen like what happened to us here last week, we had just a tragedy happen like overnight in a couple of hours. If you don't have any money, right, then you're going to be really anxious because you have to get your house fixed. I mean, let's be realistic. I mean, I saw somebody this morning. She told me she lost everything. Her mother had to move upstairs from the basement apartment. So you have to, you have to, you have to prepare. You know, well, for things like this. And if you're not prepared, then you're going to be one anxious and unhappy person.
I've been that person. I've definitely been that person. And New York definitely got hit bad, and we didn't take time to actually um, um, to digest that because New York is just so tough, right? We see it down in New Orleans, we've seen it down in Texas. We've seen a lot of devastation this year, and then obviously COVID hit the nation, COVID hit the world now at this point, you know. But one of the best things that about this quote is that it reminds me that money buys freedom, and I've fallen in love with freedom. I've fallen in love with the rewards. I've fallen in love with the benefits that come with my freedom, right? I don't necessarily love the money, but I know that I got to work hard. So, working hard is a byproduct of me having freedom. And when I think of it in that way, I don't think about the hard work. I think about the freedom that I'm going to be able to get, right? Because it is intense, right? Especially if you own a home, especially if you're head of household, you need to be able to be prepared with it. So that freedom needs to be there, right? We'll call it money freedom. Thank you for that. All right, drop that inside Telegram like you already did. I think that these guys need to be woken up with that one. Mommy, you're up.
All right, here we go. Work hard for what you want because it won't come to you without a fight. You have to be strong and courageous and know that you can do anything you put your mind to. If somebody puts you down or criticize you, just keep on believing in yourself and turn it into something positive. And that's Leo LaBelle. And why that resonated with me is because I just put a lot of my quotes about the hard work and the persistence to keep it going, to keep moving. You don't let nobody discourage you. You don't let nobody put negative thoughts in your head. As long as you can keep yourself positive and keep moving forward, you're gonna be just fine.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love it. I know a lot of people don't like to subscribe to hard work. It's actually a bad word in most people's book. But if you really want to differentiate yourself, if you really want to stand out, then you want to be able to work hard. You really want to become a part of that 1% group of the nation that's actually building wealth, then work hard, right? I can't subscribe to anybody that doesn't work hard. I really can't. And I just love the fact that it's rooted in quotes, it's rooted in books, it's rooted in some of the top people that we can actually study. So I love that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Guys, great morning on that front. Let's move on over to our sales trainer because we need it. So I'll be sharing my screen with you guys so that we can get to it. Thank you for that. All right, picking up where we left off, coordinating communication lines.
All right, we're talking about how to manage teams remotely. And one of the biggest challenges is the coordination and the communication that it takes to stay coordinated. Something that I'll mention here is on email or any communication line, you're going to have that information overload because we're saying over communicate. But we can create way too much traffic and more overload than necessary if we don't observe a few rules. Number one, email groups. Here at Cardone, we create certain groups so that everybody who needs to know certain information is communicated to by simply emailing that group. That prevents those people who don't need the information from getting slammed with data they don't need and just glutting their communication lines. So create email groups in order to target your communication to those who actually need it and not overwhelm those who don't. Make sure you know when you're putting a new product in place or a new process or a new procedure, make sure you know which group that communication applies to. Who needs to know that? Who's going to work with that piece of information after you do? Think about if it's a new product, for example, we need to think about how's the money coming in? How's accounting going to retrieve the money? Or a new vendor. Okay, how is accounting going to know who to pay? So that gives you the information you need in order to communicate to the correct groups when you're putting something new in place. Think about when I finish with this particle, this thing, who's going to need to see it? When a customer responds to this ad, what are they going to see? And who's going to know that that customer responded? How are they going to get that product or that service or that digital thing which they signed up to get? Walk all the way through and make sure that you're taking time to fully and completely trial and qual check all of these lines that you set up. Make sure start to finish. Make sure message out, money in, all tied up at the bank or money paid out where it needs to be is all vetted. That'll help you to keep the communication on the right channels. And that's a very big point with your email groups. One more comment about email here. When you're receiving an email and you're in a group, make sure your team knows that reply all is really not good manners. It creates a lot of extra traffic, and replying all with super fun giffies can just really clutter the communication lines. So make sure that you're following the etiquette that you establish in your business and communicate this to your teams so that everybody can communicate very smoothly on clean, fast lines and stay coordinated.
That's right. All right, guys, what did we just learn?
Well, communicate to the people that the subject pertains to and don't overload people with something that's not necessary.
Right on, right on. Anything else?
And to have email groups. Now, I really didn't understand that too much. Email groups, what was she referring to? One particular group of people just email between them?
Right. So
And
what happens is that, you know, inside of your email, we got different ways that we can do an email group, right? We can either create the group and save it there as each and everybody's name. So like when we're communicating with our Salesforce, we can actually make an email group that says Salesforce@bridgetogapmarketingus.com. This way it's one email if everyone needs to be communicated to. Make sense?
Yep.
Right. So that's what they're thinking of. I think that gave me a good idea on some things that we need to do. Right now, we're still getting better and stronger at what it is that we do before we can think about that. But I like it. I like it. It gave me a good idea. What else?
that etiquette to reply all, I never knew that.
I didn't know that neither. I didn't know that neither. You know, and I wrote that down as well. Bad etiquette to reply all. So that's something that I'll be looking at in the future. All right, guys. Well, listen, you know what? We needed this lesson, and each and every day we're going to get stronger and stronger and 1% better at what we do. So that does it for our call today. I'll see you guys tomorrow, alive and alert.